chapter 22, verse 6, which reads like this: "Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it." When my brother and I were growing up, in the kitchen of our house, over one of the doors, there was a cane. It was very rarely used, and then only a kind of rap or tap on the back of my knee or my brother's knee. No, our parent discipline was exercised by love, although, of course, as with any children, we often needed correction. However, has parental discipline fallen down today? Well, yes, sadly, in certain parts of society it has. But that's not for us to judge. Whether we're parents or not, each one of us is imperfect. Discipline can only come from our perfect God. And that helps us, as we understand that more, helps us to draw closer to him. As the psalmist wrote in Psalm 94, "Blessed is the one you discipline, Lord, the one you teach from your law." However, parents do have a responsibility to bring their children up in the right way. Wisdom, decency, whatever you want to call it, and how to be good citizens. There's much in the book of Proverbs to demonstrate the values, and, if you like, the principles that God desires for us all. So yes, start them off. And for Christian parents, teach them the ways of Jesus and pray that they will come to their own acceptance of him. But then this verse quickly skips from childhood to when they are old. It's not in the verse, but what about the in-between? The peer pressure that youngsters suffer from more and more nowadays. You know, with their friends that they're with every day. "Oh, why don't you do this? You don't want to do it that way. Come and do this." And in Christian terms, also, that can include falling away. That happened to me in my own later teens and early 20s. I'd had a great grounding in what it means to be a Christian. But I rebelled, I fell away. What brought me back, one of the things that brought me back, were good Christian friends. The Lord was always there for me in my life, but until I received that ministry from those friends, I didn't realise he's always been there, waiting for me. As a result, my faith grew stronger, more real. And now I am old and grey. Do we become wiser as we age? Well, maybe yes, maybe not always. For those of us in the third age, do we look back on our lives and see how the Lord has guided us? Well, in fact, that's something for everyone to ponder at whatever age. It's all part of our growth as Christians, particularly maybe in times of challenge. To look back and see how the Lord's hand was always with us, and to go on with thanks and praise to him. I like the way this verse brings all generations in, from the start to when they are old, and that also implies from birth through middle age to old age. And it all calls for mutual respect. Paul, writing to his brother Timothy, 1 Timothy chapter 4, wrote this: "Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity." Timothy was probably in his mid-30s or maybe even younger. And in those days, a leadership position wasn't usually held by someone so young. But Paul knew Timothy's capabilities, and so he encouraged him. Yes, mutual respect. There was a lovely series on television a few years ago called When Teenage Met Old Age. It involved a group of teenagers who went into a care home, and each teenager was kind of assigned to an individual resident in that home for them to get alongside one another, to get to know one another. And as the weeks of that series went on, it was lovely to see the way the mutual relationships developed. Learn from each other. That's what that group of older and younger people did. For us all, if we've started off in the right way, we won't turn away, even despite occasional setbacks. A quick word, however, for those who didn't have the best start, because sadly we know that happens all too often. Whenever we know anyone like that, it's our responsibility, in whatever way we can, to provide some help, to help them along the way. Of course, often professional help is needed, but for ourselves, we can play our part by showing we care, simply by friendship, by understanding, by listening. Start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. We're all in it together, whatever our age or circumstances. Let's pray. Father, I pray that whatever our age, that each one of us will know your hand in every part of our lives. I pray too for those who didn't have a good start for whatever reason. I lift them before you now, asking that you will give them a special touch of your love.